Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us for our first session today, Beyond the Adult Education and Literacy Tradition. Where do we go from here? Our presenter is Jacqueline Aguilera, and I'll go ahead and turn it over to her.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us on this last day of a great digital inclusion week. I'm going to take you on a little journey through connecting some dots and integrating adult education and literacy into this little format that is going to help you include digital inclusion, equity, and opportunities in your programs and in your classroom instruction. And I am from Houston, and I am from the Mayor's Office for Adult Literacy. I am a project manager as well as provider liaison, and also a proud member of the Digital Literacy Equity Leadership Team for COABE, as well as one of the members of the COABE construction crew for the AACU Institute on Digital Equity. And you guys, really, one of the things that I try and focus on is what are the takeaways for you? And what are the takeaways that you can then take for yourselves and spread them out for your learners and for your programs? So what we're doing here is going over the outcomes. What's in it for them? That's what I look at. And we're going to try and create better case makers for digital equity, digital opportunities, digital inclusion, and increased awareness for digital opportunities for upskilling and reskilling, and a better understanding of digital contextualization of your programs and your instruction. All right. The first thing I would like you to do, and there are going to be some activities here that'll give you an opportunity to stop and think, to reflect, to take a few notes that will put things together for you. And at this point, this is a think about. Think about the comment, reading. Is that all you do? And we're going to contextualize this thought. You're at a networking function. And Alex from a company called Carbohydrate, the carbonated water company, he says, I'm in sales. What about you? And you say your name and you mention that you are an adult literacy teacher. And the reaction is, wow, that's great. You teach people to read. Now I pause so that you can just let that settle in. And think about reading. Is that all you do? How would you respond? And if you want to share those responses in the chat, that's fine. That was a moment of personal reflection. You've taken your notes, and this will be part of your takeaways for the day. So that was thought one. Now, this is the traditional perception of literacy when people always say, reading, is that all you do? The typical perception of literacy involves, of course, reading, writing. They may understand, oh, yeah, it includes math, it includes speaking. And these are, again, just most of the typical and traditional ways that people think about adult literacy. Oh, here we go. Sarah says, I actually teach reading, writing, listening, speaking. Yes, and it gives you an opportunity to expand on what you would answer. Very good. Thank you. And thank you for putting that in the chat. One of the tools that I want to give you to help build your responses for these types of questions is called the Houston Adult Literacy Blueprint. Now, I know that we are from many cities across states and in some cases, maybe even globally. But this blueprint wasn't intended just to be for Houston. It was intended to be an example of what can be done in other states, other cities, other countries. We held a series of stakeholder interviews across the city, and that was with the help of the Barbara Bush Houston Literacy Foundation. And the result was a document that was more than just a report. It actually created a 15-year plan to address the adult literacy challenges, in particular with Houston. In Houston, we used to go with the national average, which is 1 in 5 adults have challenges with functional literacy. After a study was released by PIAC during the pandemic, we learned that in Harris County, which includes the greater Houston area, actually 1 in 3 Houstonians struggle at the lowest levels of literacy. So it actually was a reality check for us because we thought 1 in 5 was bad, but 1 in 3, we're like, wow, this is a really incredible challenge. What do we do? And as the mayor's office for adult literacy, we were at the perfect point to partner out and exactly try and find the answer, solutions, strategies for that question. And the result was this blueprint. Now, I share with you the QR code, and there will be many QR codes in this presentation so that you are able to look at these resources wherever you are at this time. And this presentation will be shared on the digital equity page through COABE. So don't worry, you'll be able to go back to these later. So let's get into the blueprint a bit. The blueprint created tools so that we can help market what adult literacy is. When we get asked these questions, you know, you're in adult literacy, you're an adult educator. What does that mean? Is it just reading? Well, we know it's not. And now we have research-based evidence to help us prove the case. In the blueprint, from the stakeholder input, was a resulting graph that showed us that at the core there is functional literacy, but that involves reading, writing, critical thinking, computing, oral communication. All right, now we've expanded reading, but it also goes into domains. And this is the first draft. We have since 2021, in 2 years, learned that this is actually expanded, and I will be showing that to you momentarily. But the relevance here is that when we are talking about adult education and literacy and digital equity and what that means, the foundation for our case is functional literacy that is contextualized by domains as it applies to an ecosystem. And the second graph that you see here is an illustration of the ecosystem, which involves our education system, community-based organizations, nonprofits, government, the employment and business sector, health and social services. So we're starting to make that connection on the stakeholders, the partners, who is involved in adult literacy. And again, growing everything out of that conception that we are just looking at literacy as reading. Let's translate this into people, because let's face it, this is what our field is about: serving people, serving our learners. And who are our learners? Well, our learners are a talent pool. Right now, we have a great need to fill so many occupations, positions, industries, opportunities are opening up. And our field is the talent pool development opportunity in the entire structure of building the economy for our communities, states, and nation. The talent pool are people that come to us that have goals and needs. They're people that look just like these folks right here. This is a group from the Hilton Americas Hotel here in Houston who participated in a program called English at Work. And this partnered our providers with a hotel so that they could contextualize English classes and work with the employer to have meaningful instruction, not only to help the individuals actually serve and meet the needs of their current employment, but to build pathways. Many of these individuals who were in these classes were also targeted for promotion and to move up in the company. But the one thing that they needed was strong language skills and understanding of the business structure. And so these contextualized English classes were vital. We see this in other areas, whether you're at high school equivalency development or you're working on other parts of literacies, especially digital literacy. These are all parts of pathway development to help the talent pool move your learners. So when someone asks you, what do? You can confidently say, I develop talent. Now that will open up a lot of conversations. And of course, your talent is a product. We are in the business of producing people equipped for their future. Our adult literacy programs are definitely part of talent pool development. And so working with your human resource departments makes sense. And when you make that case for employers, that is a good way to introduce yourself and open doors. So what's the point of this so far? Well, no one is just an XYZ instructor anymore. I'm not just an ESL instructor or a GED instructor or a computer class instructor or an entrepreneurship instructor. We are more holistic. We are developing the talent of our learners. So all of the subjects, all of those functional literacy subjects merge together. There is a math opportunity in English classes. There are opportunities in digital classes to be inclusive of the other English preparation or GED preparation. We now have opportunities to merge what used to be siloed into subject matter. And this is the growth opportunity for our field, to integrate all of our subject matter so that we can build stronger, more equipped learners. And what does that look like now graphically? Well, I mentioned earlier, we evolved the blueprint, that graphic that had the original 3 domains with functional literacy. And the 3 domains expanded out into a contextualization of digital literacy. Since the pandemic, there is little doubt that digital literacy is important to every aspect of our lives, from getting healthcare, from accessing food, to being able to teach our children, to being able to find out what are the job opportunities. Everything is contextualized within digital literacy and the expectation that we have the connectivity, we have the equipment, and we have the knowledge to use them. Now, many people had their children at home during the pandemic. Equipment was sent home with the assumption that there was connectivity or good enough connectivity in order to run these programs that were needed to integrate education at home, to be able to speak with teachers, to be able to help children continue their education, while, of course, many of these parents were also learning to work at home, to use equipment for their business, to be able to be responsible to their employers for the needs that they were being asked to perform. All of these assumptions created this huge awareness that digital literacy is something that must be a part of every education and teachable opportunity. So our graphic in the blueprint has evolved, and we have introduced it earlier this year. This is a 2023 edition where digital literacy contextualizes 3 domains. The new domain is environmental literacy. Now, the environment is not just about climate change or global warming and solar energy. It is about everyday community living, neighborhoods that are struggling with dumping issues, generational pollution, water supplies, littering, basic everyday needs, access to good, healthy food. This is all about environmental literacy. And in Texas, if you do a little research, and it was one of the things that surprised me, I didn't know. Texas is number 4 in wind production, wind energy. Who knew? We all associate Texas with, of course, oil and gas, one of the energy capitals of the world, Houston, Texas. And this is, again, the notion about the state. But if you dig deeper, there is a lot of green energy development going on in this state. Take a look at your state and see where environmental energy is playing a role, being developed, and has opportunities, because within those opportunities are opportunities for your learners to have a new career pathway. And this is what we are looking at now. We have a lot of development in the green energy sector. So it really is a responsibility of ourselves as adult educators to include environmental literacy within this spectrum. We, of course, still have financial literacy, health literacy, and the center core of functional literacy. Now, we don't want to just throw these things at our learners, just like we don't want to throw them at you as instructors, because having just something, a new toy in a classroom, does not help. What we need to do is integrate. And that goes back to the point about no one is just a subject matter instructor anymore. We are talent pool developers. And in each subject matter is an integration of the other areas. And what that can look like is, let's say, applying for a job online. Well, applying for a job has always been a part of adult education instruction, but now we put it together with online. We need to look at what are the tools, what are the devices that are needed in order to apply for jobs today. When I was looking for a job, I looked in, what was that thing called? The classifieds. Now, if you don't know what the classifieds are, goodness, I'm really telling my age. But the classifieds, you would open a newspaper, some type of periodical, and you would go to the back and you would look up classifieds, and it would say wanted, and it would list a description. And you would go through that. You would have to understand some of the jargon, some of the things. And then, of course, what would you do? You'd pick up the phone. It would tell you to call, or you would go to that location and physically pick up an application, grab a pen, and start writing. You would also bring a paper copy of your resume. Well, today, you can go into many companies, from discount tires to a local restaurant, and what you are likely to see is a sign with a QR code on it that does still say help wanted, join our team, but there are no more paper, pen, copies of different types of things that you write on. It is now taking your phone, which is a mini computer, and scanning that QR code so that you're able to apply for that job. And what do you need to apply for that job? Well, of course, the skills and the software access to get that PDF copy to work. And again, understanding how that works. Now, this is something, again, this was not just an ESL thing or a GED thing or an IET thing. Applying for jobs has been a part of the core of functional literacy, but we integrate technology now because that is our reality. The National Skills Coalition says that a record 92% of jobs now require definitely digital or likely digital skills. And what do you see here? A QR code. So scan that code and you'll be able to access this resource. But think about this, 92% definitely digital or likely digital skills. We are looking at not only digital literacy as knowing about basics, but then knowing how to access further skills and skills development to create a performing function that can expand and grow. That is digital resilience. That is being able to continue to use and evolve these skills, which is an important part of digital equity, digital inclusion, and digital opportunities. Because if our learners cannot continue to grow with their technology skills, great, we taught them the basics, but they can't move anywhere from them. And that, again, is not fulfilling our obligation to equip our learners for the future. Now, what are the opportunities here? Well, the opportunities are that jobs that require digital skills pay more. We used to look at this statistic with language. If you had more than one language, there were opportunities to earn more. Well, guess what? Digital skills are a commodity. They bring an added value to your learners. And again, National Skills Coalition shows us a graph here of comparison. Jobs that require no digital skills, $17 and 17,000, 17,000, 17.62. Here we go. Now, look at jobs that require at least 3 digital skills, 25.5. And now, jobs that require 9 digital skills, $43 an hour. From $17.62 an hour to $43 an hour. Is there added value to incorporating digital literacy as an equity issue in every classroom, as an equity opportunity in every classroom? Definitely, the statistics show that there's an answer, yes. Does adult education increase wage opportunities? Yes. And now we're seeing digital literacy, digital skills. They do the same thing. Added value to your learners and what they are bringing to the economy. So we have a little stop here, a little reflection moment, because we've gone through a number of ideas and a number of tools, a number of resources to think about now at this point. If someone asked you, what do you do? How would you respond? And what could you include? What of the information that we have gone over so far, the resources, could you include to give that message to someone who really has no clue about what adult education really is? We move on. In the blueprint, and again, you have your QR code if you want to bounce over back to the blueprint. 7 strategic blueprint goals, 7 of them are there. And these goals, again, they're not the complete, all final answer. Again, this is a reflection of stakeholders from about an 8-month study that we did in 2021. But there are 7 goals in that blueprint. And in particular, for this discussion this morning, for this presentation, it's goal 5, digital resources and skills. There are actually 5 strategies within goal 5. And each of those goals in the blueprint, you will find have strategies. And these are so that individuals can identify, one, what they are doing already and align that with a research-based document. And number two, to identify opportunities where you can grow your programming, grow your instruction, and be able to integrate into a strategy to improve adult literacy impact. So these are the 5 strategies. The first one involves advocacy, being able to impact decisions and investment in adult literacy on a large scale. This involves a lot of the broadband funding, the affordable connectivity funding, different funds that now are being funneled down because our country, our leaders, are investing in all of the connectivity and the access, and more importantly for us, the education of everyone, so that digital literacy is a part of our nation's basic values. Digital literacy, connectivity, and access was declared an essential part of living, just like access to electricity and to water after the pandemic. So these strategies become even more important for our field. Strategy 2 says to expand access to technology and resources. Strategy 3 is to increase access to enrollment in digital literacy programs. Strategy 4 is about providing and promoting professional learning opportunities, professional development for adult literacy providers and innovators like you guys right now. And strategy 5 is cultivating sustainable partnerships and investments in innovation and acquisition of learning apps, digital tools, and online learning systems. We're going to take a look at a few of these to see how they work or how you can access being a participant and using some of these strategies. So we're going to go to first, strategy 1, advocating for policy and legislation in support of quality internet access, such as broadband and hotspots. And connectivity is not equal in all parts. There is a lot of discussion, of research, of examination going on right now between neighborhoods. You can have one neighborhood, each one has connectivity. So check mark, right? That was a question. Is this area connected? Why, yes, it is. However, is that connectivity equal? And this is where we get to the equity issue. Some of the ACP and the individual service providers, the ISPs, has been used to connect, because that is the question. But the quality of that connection may be different because of the affordability level from one neighborhood to the next. So connectivity in its general sense is not equity and inclusion. It is the quality of that connectivity. And this is where being an advocate for your learners, for your communities, for your states, because right now many plans still are being developed. There are a minority of states who have submitted their plans. Texas is not one of those states. We are still in the process. What does that mean? That means for you, wherever you are from, you still have an opportunity to engage with the broadband office of your state. Yes, you can do that. These hearings, these listening sessions are public, and you can attend those sessions. They want your feedback. I'm looking at a comment from Jana. Thank you so much for putting those comments. She says, when I first started teaching adult education, the focus was helping students pass all 4 areas of the GED test to earn a general education diploma. In the past few years, that focus has definitely changed. Yes, it has. Definitely. Thank you for sharing that, because the world has changed. Our existence has changed. The pandemic was a catalyst to so many challenges, but also opportunities. And the opportunities are what our learners must grow and thrive in. COABE makes it very simple for us to engage. One of the things that I really enjoy sharing with colleagues and with learners is to take action with one click. This QR code will take you to taking action through COABE. And COABE provides us with a lot of data, of state mapping, of different supports for making that case. So you don't have to worry when you're speaking with decision makers, with legislators, with people that you're going, oh, wow, what do I say? You don't have to invent it. COABE has given us the tools. I advise catching on to one tool and focusing on 2 or 3 things to build your confidence. As you continue to speak, whether it's with decision makers or your neighbors or a chamber of commerce or someone you meet in the elevator, you will continue to build confidence, build extra tools. One of the easiest way to engage is through success stories. And COABE has allowed us an opportunity to share those success stories so that we can not only use our local experience, but use the experience of others that have been shared across the nation. This QR code will take you to that page that allows you to share a success story. Now, you can do that on behalf of your learners, but you can also engage your learners. This is a digital literacy opportunity. Let them learn, use that QR code, get them to a portal, and help them develop their voice so that they can share electronically what has happened to them because of adult education and the technology knowledge supported through your programs and your instruction. COABE also developed an excellent tool that shows the digital equity challenges. There is a survey and it is still live. Thank you so much, Sharon Bonney and all the leadership of COABE. This survey is still live and it is a growing accumulation of your voices and your needs and the opportunities that we have to support the growth of your digital equity, digital opportunity programming, and allow us to portray the case for investment and continued investment in digital literacy for the nation. There is a lot of talk about ACP, the Affordable Connectivity Program monies, that 2024 may see the closure of those investments. Why? Well, because they need the case to continue them. And where is that case going to come from? It's going to come from you and me, our learners. They can only act, legislators, decision makers can only act with the information they have. When you advocate, you educate. And that is what you do by sharing your stories, by meeting with decision makers, by sharing the information, the data that they need to be more informed in their decisions. Now, the National Digital Inclusion Alliance, I must share them and their resource. If you have not been or become a part of the NDIA, I strongly recommend it. There are a lot of great resources and information there. Again, another survey, the NDIA Strategic Planning Community Survey, another opportunity to share your voice, but you can join the network there and share with other colleagues who are asking the same questions that you are and exploring the same unknowns, and some who have already journeyed and are sharing their best practices. Now, I attended an Internet for All meeting, and this is for government entities that are involved in broadband and technology integration within government systems. And this was a tool that I said, oh my gosh, I've got to bring it out for my colleagues in adult ed if they have not seen it. This is a tool that was developed by the United States Census. And what you can do here is you can actually access this map. You can select your state and then drill down to the populations that are targeted. There are literacy learners, English language learners that are reflected in these statistics. And you can see how connected, how resourced your population is in your state through this mapping tool. It is another way, again, to make the case for future investment. When I looked at Texas and I was looking at adult literacy learners who are connected and the percentages of communication English language learners who were connected, it was only 40%. And in a state as big as Texas, for only 40% of that population to be connected into the system, to be actually accessing broadband and internet opportunities, that was both frightening and both exciting and challenging. Because again, I need to attend meetings. I need to meet with people. I need to help my colleagues be equipped to make the case so that we can improve those numbers. Now, the relevance of all this is investment and investment down to the community. And of course, those partnerships are so important. Strategy 2 talks about expanding the access through partnerships and technology-related resources. And what that means is expanding awareness of existing programs in which businesses donate technology devices to be given or loaned to your learners. Reach out to those companies. We have some strong supporters in our nation of technology-driven initiatives. Reaching out. CoAbe has done an excellent job at helping us find connections with Amazon, with Google, and utilizing those connections so that it impacts the learners. Reaching out and making sure that your businesses on a larger scale and on a local scale know what's happening with your learners, know what programs you're offering, know the integration process, how digital literacy fits, and then how the investment in those tools will help what increase the future of your learners, which increases the future of our economy. It increases the talent pool that those businesses will have to choose from when they're looking for employment opportunities, employers looking for employees. Now, this goal 5 also includes resources. Now, some of the resources that have been utilized here, this is just a few that I've worked with, a few that have been essential to our adult education opportunities here in the greater Houston area. Of course, World Education, CoAbe, and CoAbe's relationship with Google. There was an extremely important training about Google certifications and CoAbe, that partnership. And I hope you had a chance to attend, but I know the recordings are available. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, good grief, go really fast and find out, because these trainings are essential to evolving the skills to meet opportunities. Those certifications are so important. Why? Because they prove the case for the learner when they're stating their skill sets. Also on the utilization of different types of technology, well, apps phone apps. The mobile phone is still the number one tool in the hands of your learners. So apps like Cell Ed, Learning Upgrade, and then we integrate with North Star Digital Literacy, or something that's been around for a long time. And it was kind of a secret, especially for those programs that really didn't have funding buckets. GCF Learn Free from Goodwill Industries. They have had this program up for at least a decade, and it has improved and grown. And again, this is an open resource for helping to integrate technology into classroom activities. Now, specific to Texas, but I mentioned it because of the access to some of the resources, is the Texas Center for the Advancement of Literacy and Learning, TCAL. Now, through funding to that particular entity, there are professional development opportunities that are afforded, of course, to programs within the state. However, there are parts of that program that are available for the public, no matter where you're at. And I'm going to share one of those resources shortly. They mainly do professional development training and, of course, those resources that I mentioned to help your programming and teaching. If you're interested in knowing more about that, please email me and you'll get a chance to, again, scan my information. But I can talk to you more about how to access, no matter where you're at, for professional development. But I'm going to step over, again, expanding strategy two. Strategy two and some of our partnerships, as they've made sense in Houston, teaming up with the Houston Public Library to have a loaner program for technology kits that include a 1-year license for a hotspot, which is renewed through the library and through our partnership with the library to providers for their learners so that they can continue studying. These also are renewed through the library cards so that when a learner is finished, if they don't need it, they check it back in and the provider contacts the library, and that same kit can then be used with another learner who has that library card to check it out. So these, again, loaner programs. There are other programs that are available, funding available for learners to actually keep the equipment. But this is one way and one partnership where a funding is coming to a library that you can partner and get started on that type of support right away. We've also been able to team with Literacy Minnesota and North Star Digital Literacy to produce a Bridge Digital Academy where providers are establishing or evolving their digital literacy programming, and we're helping them integrate the other areas of literacy so that digital literacy is not siloed. It is actually spread out through the other subjects. We have a digital equity project through ARPA funds and with the help of the library again, the X Prize Rapid Reskilling Challenge, and partnership with Harvard University to look at apps to help behavioral health and mental health, being able to report mental health for clients with their providers so that they have an electronic connection right off in their own space so that immediate reporting can be made. This is an exciting type of pilot project. And again, partnerships that help integrate new type of learning tools into our learners' experiences. Strategy 3 of digital resources involves increasing access and enrollment. And the how of this, identifying, cataloging, promoting online resource centers of learning activities, including those phone apps, educational games, quick tips to build literacy skills for adults using the technology, and of course, developing technology information sessions and education resources to help drive the understanding of how to use the tools before they apply them to the real world context. And again, you don't just put a tool into the hands of the learners. You don't throw a tool into the classroom. You get acclimated with the usage of that tool and the application of that tool. Because if it doesn't make sense, you really have wasted money. It has to make sense. All right. How do you apply all of the strategies if you have limited resources, funding, and staff? Where do you start? There's a very old joke that says, how do you eat an elephant? And the answer is one bite at a time. Look at one goal for your learners, one part, one strategy, one small nugget that can help build at least one unit. So let's say ESL. And our perfect example is Anson Green and the Upward Academy of Tyson Foods. You have the concept of ESL. ESL can be contextualized within the industry. Within the industry, there is a growth of technology opportunities. So first, we have the foundations of ESL. We implement the foundations with a contextualized programming lessons from the company so that those lessons make sense. Now that can be in on-site in a business, that can be with learners who are interested in industries, specific industries. This is where project-based learning can come in. And then you can add the pathway, such as here with a curriculum of robotics as another level to that learning process. Now, where can you get some of these tools, these information specific? Well, you don't have to spend a lot of money on different types of resources, especially when you don't have it. You can call the HR departments. I mentioned that earlier. Let them know you have learners. You are developing a talent pool for their industry, but you need to know what that talent pool needs to know. And you will be surprised at how much information that a company will share if they know you are developing people who could be their next employees. They will also volunteer or offer to do presentations. And if they don't, ask them, because your students need to know that this is a real opportunity. And having those employers come into your classrooms can also build those bridges that you need for opportunities to employment and get those businesses involved. And once they see have an attachment, they can see an investment opportunity, an investment in a social good, and investing in their community, the community that they hope are becoming customers to help their business thrive. Here's another free resource. I mentioned this earlier for you guys. Texas, the TCAL, has a resource thanks to this collaboration between Anson Green, Glenda Rose, Denise Guckert, and they created a curriculum, the free English language digital literacy curriculum that's contextualized. And this is a result from working from Tyson. This is your go-by. This is something that you can utilize for your classes, no matter what you teach. Go-bys are very helpful. And this is an open resource that has been made available to our field so that we can grow and break those silos. So there's your QR code. And remember that this presentation will be made available on the digital equity page. So don't worry if you're not catching them. You will have it. Remember that work sites are learning labs. You can utilize their standards, the industry knowledge, marketing, imaging, branding, the culture. Again, integration. Allow that to be a resource for your curriculum. Excellent resources to build realia, to be able to bring in what is out there to your classrooms, to allow your learners to really experience what is happening. Ask for a tour of a company. Take a field trip. What is more wonderful if you have a lot of students who are interested in the health industry to be able to visit one of your local hospitals or healthcare centers and be able to find out what it's like. Talk to those people that are doing the jobs that they want. Now, rapid reskilling and upskilling. I have done my second round of work with an organization called X Prize. And X Prize this past year focused on upskilling and reskilling. And three of the teams that I was able to work with and bring into Houston were Vital and Shifa 360 and Isotonic. And these guys developed training based on, of course, online learning in different areas that included the health industry, the restaurant service, as well as they opened it up to things like truck driving. So these are three types of companies that I suggest, three teams. If you want to reach out to them, again, I do work with them. And so please contact me if you're interested in knowing more about them, and we can arrange for a meetup. All right. So here's your reflection moment. We are getting up on our time. Believe it or not, it's always this time just goes boom, it goes so fast. Wow. There's a lot here. And I know that when I'm sitting on the opposite side of the screen, I'm going, wow, my brain is trying to go through this and really process it. So here's a thinking moment for you. Add the following to that reflection when we said, wow, what do you say? How do you respond now? What are you going to integrate in your responses? As you take away this information, think about three skills needed by your students or your clients. Remember, they're your talent pool that you're developing. Match the skills with functional literacy, somewhere, reading, writing. Take one part. I said, don't look at it as, wow, this is so much to do. Find one area of functional literacy to focus on and add to it three inner circle domains: environmental, financial, or health. And finally, contextualize that in some way with a digital literacy training experience, with some type of tool that helps all of that make sense. Okay. What that can look like again. Let's say communicating via email. What does that mean? Well, that involves our functional literacy. It also involves technology. It also involves writing. Even if you're using a keyboard, that's writing, that's composing. Navigating benefits, that's health, that's financial. Those are basics. Start looking at, again, the skills needed by your students, the functional literacy skills, and then the contextualizing of those things with technology. Strategy 5 is the last strategy that I'm going to touch on briefly. In Houston, we have been cultivating these partnerships, these investments and innovation so that it produces strong support for what the providers are doing, because our office means nothing without the providers. You guys do the work. You impact the learners on a daily basis. So any type of relationship that we have must match the goals of the blueprint, and it must support providers. Upskilling, reskilling, expose providers to opportunities online, to programs that are newly being developed to help their learners in industry-specific areas. It utilized a growing support for evolving computer classes that are being made available free to the community through Goodwill Industries. It also helped contribute to being able to participate in the All In Network, which is a national movement and a national focus that is brought through the National Barbara Bush Literacy Foundation. And of course, including those providers like Comcast or AT&T into direct relationships with adult literacy. And of course, in our focus here, we are taking digital literacy on the road. Part of the funding that the Mayor's Office for Adult Literacy has received is going to into the making of a bus that will be a training unit on wheels. And we will be taking experiences like augmented reality, virtual reality, software training for hot jobs, industries, and the basics, and taking it to neighborhoods and industries where it's hard to access at those types of tools in neighborhoods that have the most under-resourced and under-accessible, under the guise of a bus, a mobile training unit, just like the bookmobile goes in the neighborhoods and takes those books. All right, the perfect storm can look something like this. I met two ladies at an organization that I'm involved with. I was one of the founders. It's called Houston Money Week, and it focuses on financial education for the city. These two ladies wrote a book called What I Learned About Life. I thought, really cool. Let's start a book club. I was at Eastside University at the time. So we started a book club. This book included not only everyday living skills, but it was about financial choices, personal finance, in a story format that read really like a reality show. And so it was a fun, contextualized educational source. This book has been since accepted by the Texas Education Agency as a textbook. Who knew? So from that, I was able to work with these guys on a project through Upskill Houston. Upskill Houston is a part of the Greater Houston Partnership. What happened there? We developed a animation series on soft skills. Wow, who knew? We used that animation to help in classrooms, and it branched out into a project working with welding students at Houston Community College, where we combined the book club with the soft skills animation and helped make a supplemental class for the welding students. What happened then? Well, the food bank helped those students get food. So we reached out to the food bank and they said, wow, we like what you're doing. So we took this concept into some of the training that the food bank offered for their staff. It is incredible what can happen with relationships and where digital literacy combines access to tools to the basic fundamentals and the learners that you're trying to serve, whether it's in-house or off-site. Here are 3 questions to think about as we start to close this session out. Which digital literacy strategies from the blueprint do you already engage in? Which strategies will you engage in? And how will you engage in digital equity and digital opportunities? Karen says this presentation just gave me so many great ideas. Awesome. That was my hope, because I mean, my goodness, you're spending an hour with me here. I'm excited. Hey, this is a picture from 1958 to 1963. This series of drawn forms of the future came out. I also included a little picture of the Jetsons. Everyone went into a panic when these things came out. Oh my gosh, there will be no more teachers. We're going to have robots teaching. This is the end of the education system. And you know what? Some people are still feeling that today. But guess what? Look at what you see here. A lot of these concepts are what we are working with today. But the thing is, nothing is being replaced. No one is being replaced. And this is the biggest takeaway from the CoWave Conference Literacy Panel that just was a spotlight in my face. If you are worried about being replaced by technology, don't. Artificial intelligence and the machines are not going to replace you. The person who knows how to use them will. Jobs are evolving, and so must the talent pool in line to fill those vacancies. I'm Jackie Aguilera. Thank you so much for letting me share this information with you today. And thank you for kicking off a Friday with digital equity, digital inclusion, and digital opportunities. I hope you had some great ideas and tools. And again, you can go back to this. You can access everything thanks to CoWave and the digital equity page. I appreciate your time. I'm going to take a look at if there are any more additional questions. I'm looking at the chat to see if I missed. Thank you all so much. Much appreciated. And again, get in contact with me, please. I'll be more than happy to work with you with any other questions that you have. Helped, the rural communities. We could spend a whole other hour on the rural communities. Thank you for your service there. Oh my gosh, this is awesome. All right, you guys. Well, our time is up and I am hopping off to another meeting. But thank you for your time today. Good luck to you. Reach out to me, reach out to your colleagues, utilize CoWave. That's the place to go. Thank you.